Okay, you're probably going to see a whole load of reviews for The Disaster Artist where the reviewer is going to do a ton of impressions of Tommy Wiseau. So for the sake of keeping it fresh and keeping the pace moving, I decided to refrain from doing any impressions of Tommy Wiseau till after the review. Now, before we get into the actual film itself, we have to talk about The Room. As you all know, on Narcotic Casserole, we have the Cinema Schlock Society, so we love bad movies. We love them for the absolutely unique way a movie can fail and the way it can be enjoyed. Well, The Room is a very, very unique beast. The fact of the matter is, that movie is so hypnotizingly, alluringly bad that it stands out from the rest. Between Tommy Wiseau's very hard to grasp accent, combined with the bad dubbing, combined with the plot threads of the movie that go absolutely nowhere, combined with idiot cinematography, the overabundance of establishing shots, there is nothing like it in the world. And there hasn't been a likes of this movie seen since the days of Ed Wood. Ed Wood was another filmmaker who a long time ago failed in his own unique way, like no other filmmaker has done. Those films, you can easily sense, had to do with the mindset and the mentality and the psychoses of its director. The Room is exactly the same way. You get the vibe that all of this comes from the fact that this is the twisted imagination of Tommy Wiseau. And what the film The Disaster Artist does is give us this sublime appreciation for the way some films can be enjoyed, specifically when we come to the understanding of the man who made it. Inasmuch as Tim Burton's film Ed Wood gave us an understanding of how we can enjoy the films of Ed Wood, James Franco very passionately makes this film to show how The Room could be enjoyed, and also why it's enjoyed. The story of this film and the way it's made is conveyed beautifully in this biopic. First off, with an incredible performance from James Franco himself, but also incredible, I don't want to say supporting, honestly I want to say co-star, because they both really do deserve top billing. Dave Franco is Greg Sestero. They own this movie, and even if you've seen The Room, and even if you know what Greg Sestero really looks like and sounds like, and you know Dave Franco has something of a nasally voice, it doesn't matter. Their performances are so genuine and so sincere. James Franco disappears. He totally disappears into Tommy Wiseau. It is an incredible, transformative performance. Probably one of the best I've ever seen from him. And this man has done some incredible work in his time. This, I think, it's his apotheosis. So I'm going to root for him come award season. I'm already thinking he's going to get a lot of comedy awards, and deservedly so. Now, before I go on praising it even further, and I'm going to get into some of the caveats. Now, like any biopic, there's always the sense that there's going to be some stuff either glossed over or cut out entirely. Now, I have yet to read the book The Disaster Artist, but definitely am going to after seeing this movie. But there are some things I do know about the production of The Room, specifically that there was an actor who played the lawyer in the film, lawyer, psychiatrist, either way, the guy with the glasses. He bailed on the production halfway through, and he was replaced with another guy. But they didn't even make an effort to reshoot his scenes or anything like that. They just threw in another actor to do that guy's lines. And they didn't get into that. And they kind of glossed over when Tommy canned the crew and replaced it with an entirely different crew. They kind of glossed over that part. So there's a lot of stuff that you get the feeling that they may have cut out. And legendarily, it was not an easy set to work on at all. That being said, though, they don't flinch away from some of the more unpleasant aspects of the production. In particular, there's two incidents which I probably would have bailed immediately. Tommy, just in a childish fit, turns off, keeps it like 100 degrees in the studio, deprives the cast and crew of water, and then of course you got the famous navel banging scene. As easy as it would be to play that scene for laughs, they don't flinch away from making it feel awkward. it felt uncomfortable. And I applaud the film for actually playing it that way, because I can imagine to film a scene like that, it would be uncomfortable. And it definitely, and what's interesting is that to see how badly a movie gets made, it does lend some perspective into how the good films get made, particularly films with scenes that are intimate and are erotic. And you definitely get the feeling that you have to alleviate a lot of awkwardness, and you have to be very comfortable to do scenes like that. And you can understand that when you see how horrible filming a scene like that can go, because it's a notorious fact that scene was horrible for the actress who played Lisa to film. And the disaster artist really does a great job making that scene pop. And what's fascinating is that even in lieu of all the crazy things that Tommy does that makes the crew and the cast, uncomfortable and that alienates them, it's still so impressive how this movie is able to still make it sympathetic for Tommy, especially when you get to the time the movie premieres. Now, I suppose a spoiler warning would be redundant, particularly since we know the history. I mean, biopics, I guess spoiler warnings are kind of redundant, but the best part is when it all culminates in the premiere of this movie, and you see, at first, people like going, ugh, but then very gradually them laughing and having a great time, and by the end they give a standing ovation. That all sums up why The Room, what makes The Room so wonderful. It fails so uniquely as a movie, but is done so in its own magical way that you can't truly hate the film. You can definitely say it's a horrible film, but as an experience, it is one of a kind. And the great thing about The Disaster Artist is that it shows why The Room is such a unique experience in itself, and the impact it actually did have. Because bad films are a cautionary tale for aspiring filmmakers. That's why I have the Cinema Schlock Society. That's why there is Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's why we still have riff tracks. Because bad movies can be enjoyed, specifically to teach people what not to do. The Room is a spectacular failure. It's the Apollo 13 of movies. It's a successful failure. And The Disaster Artist does an incredible job elucidating that fact through great writing, incredible acting, probably some of the best biopic acting I've seen since Man on the Moon, easily in my top 5 biopics. And a lot of it has to go to the passion that went into it from James Franco, Dave Franco, and all the cast. Seth Rogen definitely has a brunt of a lot of the great laughs during the production, but the film itself has such a good balance of when it needs to get serious and actually when it needs to get sad. But when you're going to laugh, you are going to laugh like crazy on this. And as an extra cherry on the icing, you actually get to see shot-by-shot comparisons of this film, of all the scenes they recreate and the scenes from the movie, just to show how passionate they were about recreating The Room. And as another thing to hit home the impact that The Room had, there are a ton of cameos in this film. They get a lot of them out of the way at the beginning of the movie. I'm not going to spoil that for you, because you just got to be astonished about how many people wanted to come forward and talk about their love of The Room. And some of the people who pop up to talk about their love of The Room, you would not see coming. There's one director who pops up in it, which I'm just like, no. In summation, The Disaster Artist is a very passionate, very funny, very heartfelt film talking about the creation of probably one of the most uniquely, sublimely bad experiences in cinema history. And while it definitely is insanely funny, well written, I would have liked it if there was some more stuff that they could have got into a bit deeper into the turbulent production. And I have no problem giving this film a Narcotic Casserole rating of... Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think The Room is just a piece of shit and it's overhyped and it does not deserve a quality biopic? Or do you think that this film is probably one of the greatest films about filmmaking on the face of the planet? You're probably right. So, for all of us in Narcotic Casserole, simply like, share, subscribe, click, thou shalt be served. Are you ready for some football? It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. Ah! You're tearing me apart, Lisa! Hi, Lisa. Why? Hello. A dozen red roses. Keep the change. Hi, kitty. You're just a little chicken. Choo, 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 choo. Ah! Good story, Mark. You bitch!